of that part of our viewing area. These are the current conditions right now regarding the diamond fire. Temperatures are at 102 degrees. Humidity is very low and dry, so we have the ingredients necessary for the fire to really develop. And the wind's gusting now at 21 miles per hour. You can see gusts throughout parts of the valley beginning to pick up, especially in that part of our viewing area. And we do have those fire weather warnings, red flag warnings in effect in areas east of the metro through the evening and again on Wednesday. So we're not done yet with the fire danger threat here in Arizona for the next few days. So we'll go hour by hour with what to expect throughout the night and, of course, what's in store with this heat over the next several days.
Jorge, thank you. You know, Tonto National Forest just tweeting they are rushing to assist right now. There are task forces en route, we're told. So this is really an all hands on deck approach. Again, you can see the visuals there from the Cliff Castle chopper. Entire neighborhoods just feet away from those flames.
Yeah, this is pretty concerning, whether there's an ember that's picked up and carried a ways away, or as that fire approaches that neighborhood there. Jorge, you had those evacuation coordinates.
Yes.
Do you have those close by? We want to make sure everybody hears them.
Yeah, of course.
Again.
If you are just tuning in, this is from Scottsdale PD. They are assisting further with evacuations. This is as of 5:50, west of 136th Street, south of Quail Track, east of 144th Street as well. And the north line for evacuations has been moved north to Rio Verde Drive. So that includes Rio Verde Drive as well. Again, this is all just coming in. This is updates via Scottsdale PD on Twitter.
Yeah, we're going to keep on this right now, and we'll also get a map made up so you can see that exact area. But as you can see, there's some air support there as well. We're hearing that Scottsdale Fire is calling in for aircraft, and also their task force is en route up there. So you can see how seriously they're taking this. And this shot right here gives you a really good look at how close this fire is to all of those structures right there. It just kind of feeds right along that line as they try to stop forward progress on this fire.
Yeah, Katie, and just to give our viewers a better sense of how quickly that fire has grown, at about 5:17, so less than an hour ago, we got an update that said the fire is about 10 acres, and now it is roughly 150 acres. So really fast moving there. As Jorge mentioned, the wind's fueling that, the dry brush, and one of the things we mentioned earlier is that construction workers were out there on new home builds. So one of the things we're going to be working to figure out is how many people actually live in that area. And what are they doing right now? You've covered fires for decades in Arizona.
Yeah, and you have to stay ready, and that's the tough thing, especially when you're in the city. A lot of people who have cabins or who live in more remote parts of Arizona are used to clearing that defensible space. They're used to having a bag ready to go with things at all times. When you're seeing this more closer to the valley in this area, sometimes it's hard to remember that we've got to be ready at all times too. We've got to be clearing the defensible spaces around our homes so that those embers don't ignite other things nearby.
Absolutely, and you worry about the pets, the people who are at work right now. I mean, there are a lot of moving parts. I'm sure we have crews heading to that scene right now. When we get visuals on the ground as close as we can get, given those evacuation orders, we'll bring those to you live in the show as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly why the police aides are up there to help get people through, because you can imagine how frantic you would be if at 5 or 5:30 you're at work tonight and you get a call that this thing has started to pop out there. You've got to make it all the way home, pick up any animals, pick up any supplies, and that's why those police aides are out there to make sure that everyone is safe. We want to go over this area again. These evacuation orders, if you have a home within this area, it is time to go. West of 136th Street, south of Rio Verde Drive, east of 144th Street. Again, if you live or work in that area, this is an evacuation order happening right now.
And it is an all-out scramble. I mean, we mentioned the air tanker there, and they're going to try and get as close to that fire line as possible. And, you know, at this point, it's one of those things where the homes may be impacted by whatever they're dropping there, but you'd rather have your home saved than, you know, moved by those flames. And we saw the hotshot crews. I mean, they're on the front line there, digging those trenches.
It is such hard work.
Incredibly, especially when it's 110 degrees. I mean, it's one of the hottest days of the year so far.
Yeah, so that's going to be the other concerning thing, is making sure that they trade these crews out. When you see a regular run-of-the-mill house fire, if you will, they call extra crews out from the city when it's this hot to be able to relieve those other firefighters who are right there on the scene. So you can just imagine what it's like out there for our fire crews. So protecting lives and keeping people safe out there is the #1 priority. And then the second becomes protecting those structures and protecting those homes out there as well.
Yeah, and we just showed that live Cliff Castle chopper shot. You can see at least 2 aircraft, and there it is, dropping that slurry there. And that will be huge in trying to
Interesting drop there. Yeah. Did they make it? Looks like it.
It looks like they did. I mean, the precision accuracy there, but you could see how close it is to those homes.
And it looks like it has hit the side of those homes there as well on the top part of your screen. Now,
there are a couple horses there.
Oh, so sad.
And you can see they're
how frantic they are.
Panicking, yeah. So that's going to be a major concern. I mean, the things you think about in situations like this are animals, of course, and the elderly who aren't able to either drive, they may be confined to their homes. So that's, if you have people that live in that area, and we'll go over the evacuation zone here again in a second.
Yeah, you're seeing how it hit these houses.
Yeah,
that's too bad.
It's already on top of them, really.
And that's what they have to do to try to protect any other homes out there. I know this can be difficult for people who are watching right now, and they might even be seeing their own home there, so we are cognizant of that as well. Sure. This is all about protecting lives first and then protecting property. I want to just reset here. 150 acres already, and you can tell by those winds out there that this is growing pretty quick. Jorge, let's get a check of how those winds are right now.
Yeah, so here's the latest regarding conditions around what's being called the diamond fire for those of you just tuning in. First of all, it is hot out there for sure. Temperatures are in excess of 100 degrees. That's one of the ingredients that is necessary for fire conditions to really ramp up. Then we have the wind. As you mentioned, Katie, so far the wind speeds, at least there in Scottsdale at the airport, is at 8 miles per hour. But when you're east of the McDowells, the winds kind of go downslope and begin to accelerate, so the gusts there are a bit stronger. Officially, the gusts there in Scottsdale are at 21 miles per hour, meaning up around the Diamond Fire, which is just east and northeast of the McDowells, we're talking gusts even stronger than that, right around potentially 25, even 30 miles per hour. And we've talked about the fire danger conditions really ramping up across the state over the past few days because of these hot temperatures, very low humidity now at only 6% there in northeastern parts of the valley, and in the dry fields. Again, we had a lot of rain over the winter and early part of the spring, but we're beginning to dry out, and so there's plenty of those fine fuels that are developing now. So the conditions are ripe for fires to develop and spread quickly, and unfortunately we have that today, and unfortunately it is close to homes and families, and you saw the horses there in parts of areas near Scottsdale and just near the rear Verde foothills.
Yeah, Jorge, thank you. I actually just reached out to somebody with the Department of Forestry and Fire Management asking if she could hop on the phone, but they are setting up a command center there now to try and coordinate all of the resources, hotshot crews. We mentioned that the Tonto National Forest is assisting, Scottsdale Fire, Scottsdale PD, to name just a few. And then, of course, there's the aircraft involved, which, as we just mentioned, dropping right on the roofs of some of those homes as the flames inch closer and closer, and it's not looking good there.
Yeah, we're seeing it so close, especially in that shot right there of the white home that's on the side there. Crews working to get this thing under control. Boy, it looks real close to that one too. That's had the fire retardant dropped on the top of it. That slurry drop that happened just moments ago for those of you who've been watching with us. Again, this thing growing to 150 acres at 128th Street and Pinnacle Peak. An evacuation order has been issued. So this is not a time of hesitation for folks in this area. It is time to go west of 136th Street and east of 144th Street, south of Rio Verde Drive. If you work in that area, if you live in that area, own a home in that area, it is time to get out. We saw some of those frantic horses earlier, and obviously we're thinking of families who have pets in that area, and police aides are up there to try to help navigate, help you through this to get everybody safe and sound.
Yeah, and you can see it is really hard to characterize, given the distance our chopper is away from those flames right now, just how powerful and strong they are, and likely the height on them as well. But you can see it looks like the smoke there, the flames right up to those property lines. You can still see the two horses at the bottom of your screen, a brown one and a white one there, running along the line. So we really hope someone's able to get in there and get those horses to safety. But one of the things that I saw just a couple seconds ago before we zoomed in a little bit was it looked like a Jeep was driving around in that area. So that was the only sign of movement outside of the horses that I've seen in this neighborhood since we've been overhead for the last 30 minutes or so. And certainly they have gotten a lot of the construction crews out, as we mentioned, and likely the homeowners are already gone. But Scottsdale police going likely door to door helping with traffic, and I'm sure, they have gone there in the last hour, because this fire was about 10 acres, as we mentioned, about an hour ago. At last check, 10 minutes ago, it was 150, and as you can see, still growing and moving in the wrong direction. You can see the winds.
What direction is that, Jorge, the wind that it's blowing?
The wind direction is coming from the south-southwest, so it's pushing the fire toward the north and northeast, mainly north-northeast right now. So that is obviously the concern for those of you who are in the vicinity of the fire. You kind of see the smoke direction. The other concern, and you touched a little bit on it, Katie, earlier, is the embers that can go even up to a mile away from the initial fire start point. So downstream, if you will, of the wind is going to be a concern for those of you who live in the vicinity of the Diamond Fire, which is growing. And again, this is just coming in as well from Scottsdale PD. Anyone in the McDowell Mountain Regional Park area also needs to evacuate. So just kind of adding on to the list of evacuations we have in that part of Scottsdale and in our viewing area.
So many people already leaving for the holiday who have already left town, who are just hearing about this from other places or watching on TV here from across Arizona. It's such a scary thing to watch from afar and just hope for the best at this point.
Yeah, you can only imagine how people are feeling if they live in this neighborhood or have loved ones that do, as we see a plane take another pass there. And I imagine right now on runways across the valley, there are other planes trying to get up and over this as quickly as possible, because as we mentioned in the last hours when this thing has really taken off, this Diamond Fire, as it's being called, 10 acres an hour ago, now 150, and you can see the homes that are at risk of being just consumed and scorched by those flames. But as Jorge mentioned, and as you touched on, Katie, you can see the direction the smoke is moving. The hope here is that that fire does not move, does not continue to move further into that neighborhood. And already I'm seeing reaction from people on Twitter who are saying, I hope someone can help these horses.
Yeah.
That's certainly a thing, the pets, the animals.
And I'm hearing from some other friends who are animal lovers who have horses up in this area who are saying that they are all on ready status right now, that although they are seemingly in a safe place right now, they are on ready status to evacuate horses, to evacuate other animals that are up there, to get everyone to safety. So this word sort of spreads quick in this tight-knit community of horse lovers, but still, you just hate to see that out there. If you're just joining us, what you're seeing on the top of that house there is a slurry drop that just happened. So when you're seeing that red dye on the top of those homes there, they do the very best they can to strategically make those drops right there along the fire line. This one had to be so precise. I mean, there was really no room in between the fire and the houses. It was so close. So that's what you're seeing, that red marking along the top of at least a half dozen houses there. The attempt to stop this fire. Right,
exactly. And you mentioned the attempt, that's fire retardant. And obviously they got it as close as possible to those horses as well. And to protect the, couple dozen other homes. We don't know how populated that neighborhood is. We were told that construction workers.
Some are under construction.
Yeah, were evacuated about an hour ago. And certainly the evacuation order has expanded to other areas, as we've told you in the past. But this is near 128th Street and Pinnacle Peak Road. You can see that fire continuing to just move in the, I think, what did Jorge say?
North direction, Jorge?
The north direction.
Okay.
Yeah, towards the northeast.
And one of the other things we talked about is those police aides heading up there. So this is a multi-agency response, not only fire crews from several different agencies, but also the police response up there to try to help navigate folks who might need to get near their homes or pick people up or get people out of there, and just traffic as well. So once these evacuations are in order, which they are from 136th Street to 144th Street, that area will then be shut down to anybody else going in and out.
It looks like Scottsdale Fire just tweeted, well, they retweeted Tonto National Forest, which, as I shared earlier, the Tonto National Forest fire crews are assisting. They were en route just before the top of the hour at 5:55. They also said 10 engines are responding, as well as an air tanker, and we saw some hotshot crews out there. If we can pull that video up again, guys.
It just shows how quickly things change. I mean, you were saying
So
5:50, and literally before this newscast, we were prepping an entire hour of news unrelated to this fire when we started getting so many messages. First of all, hearing about the fire, but then getting messages from so many of you who were saying, what is going on beyond the McDowells there? And what am I seeing out there in this blaze? And you can see those fire crews, those hotshots already on it.
Yeah, but only a half dozen there in that, vertical video tweeted out by Scottsdale PD, and they're obviously on the ground there. But, it's going to take a lot more than just 6 men and women out there to get control of that thing.
Yeah.
And as you can see, a much larger
Another
air
drop
tanker.
coming.
So, yeah.
Let's see. This is a live picture that you're seeing right here coming in from the Cliff Castle chopper. There it is, the drop coming. It looks like they're almost trying to make another line right there, another pass along that same area. Let's see if they were able to successfully get it.
The 10 tanker that comes from Mesa Gateway.
So relatively close to this area.
Yes.
So they could just go up north there.
And Jorge, I know you've done reporting on this. I mean, do you know, we saw that drop probably 10 to 12 minutes ago, kind of closer to the top of the hour. With what amount of frequency are they able to kind of refuel, load back up with that slurry, and get back out there?
I mean, these guys are the best in the biz when it comes to what we're monitoring right now. They go in, they get the drops, then they hightail it back to refuel. And since Mesa Gateway is essentially down the road, they're able to get there a lot quicker than, say, your typical fires that we talk about up in the high country and along the rim too. So we're talking a matter of minutes, less than maybe even half an hour. Again, I don't want to say that exactly, but again, these guys are quick, and so it's good to see that they're on it already.
Yeah, and I'm texting with Tiffany, a public information officer for the Department of Forestry, who I think is running point on this. She told me a few minutes ago that she just got there and was doing a debriefing, and she just texted me 2 minutes ago. The fire is now 700 acres, 19 people evacuated so far per Scottsdale PD, and we just saw one of their cars down there driving in that neighborhood, likely more evacuations. So 19 people evacuated, 700 acres. It was
in less than an hour.
It was an estimated 10 acres at 517. So
that was one of the concerns today, though. Those whipping winds all across the valley. We were seeing just flags whip around out there, reporting on it earlier. This is another example. We don't know how this fire started. Obviously, there was not lightning in the area, so that can be pretty quickly ruled out, but we don't have any word on a cause just yet. But this should make everyone take pause who thinks about lighting a firework out there as we approach the 4th of July. That's why it's such a concern, because it is so dangerously dry out there that anything can happen within 30 minutes, growing from 10 acres now up to 700 acres. So that's really illustrates what it's like to sort of explode in size, and that's what you're seeing out there, so close to those homes as well. That evacuation order, 136th Street to 144th Street. We can put up the list in that area too. This is south of Rio Verde Drive. So again, this is not on the ready, set, go scale. This is a full go. They want you out of this neighborhood. 19 people, as you heard, live in that area and need to be evacuated completely out of there. That includes pets, animals, everything. Take it with you, because they're going to have to try to get this thing under control before they let anybody back in. And then there's the cleanup. We've covered these stories where the slurry drops on homes like that, and it does in some cases come off, but it is a major cleanup.
And obviously that is the least of everyone's concern right now, but it is a concern for homeowners.
Here comes another drop, it looks like, through there. It's tough to see in all that smoke, but we'll see if they're able to get a little closer.
And Katie, as we wait for that, you know, we showed that video from Scottsdale police that they tweeted out earlier, and you could just see in the background of that video the lack of smoke, thick, dense black smoke that we're seeing here now. So that is just showing you how quickly that fire is moving, that it's leaving all that scorched earth in its past. And Scottsdale Fire actually tweeting for the first time in just the past few minutes. They are still saying it's a 150-acre brush fire. So some conflicting numbers on the acreage right now. But they say the evacuation area currently does not involve Scottsdale residents. So interesting if this is a county island, or I guess probably not Scottsdale itself. We will update information as it becomes available. Avoid the area near Verde, 144th Street, Desert Holly Drive, and 130th Street.